Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm really excited to be sharing my first design team layout for Scrap the Boys. And for July we have a new challenge, that's to use this mood board as inspiration and to add either a cut file or use cutting dies on our page. So I wasn't able to use a cut file just purely for DT reasons, but I've selected a metal cutting die to use instead. So I've got a set of hexagon nesting dies, and I've cut 4 different sizes in 5 different patterned papers, all from the Vicki Boutin colour study collection. So I've gone for those gorgeous papers that are like solid colours but with patterns and variations on them. And like I said, I've done 4 different sizes, and I'm just drawing a black line around the outside edge of each one. And as I was doing this, I was thinking to myself that it would look so much nicer if I stitched this on my sewing machine, but I was fully aware of how long that would take. But as I went on drawing these lines, it was bugging me, and so I did actually stop, and I pulled out the sewing machine and I've stitched a black line all around the edge of each of the hexagons. Took me forever because my sewing machine was playing up, but I'm really happy with it and I think it looks so much better. And I've also cut my background cardstock down by 1/2 inch on 2 sides, and then I've sewn a black border all around that as well. And I'm going to frame that on one of the pattern papers a bit later on. So now I'm just using my ruler and a pattern paper just to make it a bit longer, just to find the centre point of my layout, because I want my photo to sit directly in the centre. And I'm going to raise that up on foam pads and then arrange the largest of the hexagons all around the outside of that. I know I want to bring in some sort of black to the layout as well, just to really pop against those bright colours. So I've fussy cut a few of the butterflies from one of the pattern papers, and I'm going to use those on this page as well. I'm going to add some mixed media behind my hexagon, so I'm just drawing around each one lightly with a pencil, so I know where they sit, and then I'm just marking in each of them which colour is going to go where, because I'm going to do kind of tone on tone mixed media. So I've pulled out all of my distress inks in coordinating colours, and I'm just using a blending brush to add some colour to my background just underneath where each hexagon is going to sit. So it will just, as you can see there, just peek out around the edge of the hexagon shape. I love using mixed media in this way. It's just dry, so my page isn't going to warp. It's really easy to do, and I love the effect of it. So I've done the yellow, that was mustard seed I've used there. And then moving on to the orange, this is Spiced Marmelade. It's one of my favourite oranges, or orange distress ink. And I'm just cleaning my brush up in between and trying to do colours kind of in order so I don't end up with kind of muddy mess on my page. So I've gone for yellow, then orange, and got those 2 light colours out the way. And I'm just going to work my way around each of the colours, doing the same thing really. So for the green, I've pulled out 2 different greens. I've got, I think, is it crushed olive, I think it's called, and also Mowed Lawn, because I wanted to try and get that almost lime colour, so I've just mixed the 2. Then for the pink, I've used picked raspberry. The purple is Dusty Concord, and the blue I have mixed Blueprint Sketch, and I've added a little bit of Mermaid Lagoon as well. Probably didn't really need that because the Blueprint Sketch was pretty much the right colour anyway, but I just wanted a little bit of variation in it, so I just mixed the 2 together. I'm just going to carry on doing that until all the hexagons are done. It looks a bit of a mess at the moment. Now I've got all those colours down, but the middles are going to be covered up, so I'm not too fast. And I'm now going to go around using the same colours, just adding some splatters, again tone on tone. So I'm just putting a bit of the ink on some packaging, mixing a bit of water in with it, and using a paintbrush to add my splatters. And I'm going to go around each of the colours doing exactly the same thing. So I'm really happy with how this is looking. I've done all my splatters. I'm just bringing my hexagons back in just to check that I'm happy with my mixed media and it's reached out far enough to be visible. And then I'm going to commit and start getting things stuck down. So I already had some foam behind my photo and I've just added some double-sided tape to stick that down. And then I'm going to go around sticking these hexagons. So these ones I'm going to raise up on little foam pads. You'll remember I've cut 4 hexagons in each colour of varying sizes. So these ones are all getting stuck down, raised up on foam pads. And then I'm going to layer the hexagons on top of each other, tone on tone, so they're all the same colours. But rather than kind of lining them up perfectly, I'm going to rotate each one slightly. And that just gives it a much more interesting effect on the page. And it almost reminds me of roses, the way that it looks at the end. You'll see what I mean when I sort of get into doing it. But I'm going to raise these ones up onto foam, have the middle 2 sizes stuck down just flat with double-sided tape, as you can see here. And then the top one, the little one, I'm going to raise that up on foam as well, just to bring a bit of dimension to the page, because I do like to have a lot of dimension and different textures on my layouts. So you couldn't really see it with the blue, it's a bit dark, but you can see with the orange what I mean about rotating them slightly. And I don't know, it might just be me, but they really do remind me of roses once I've got them all done. So just sticking that last one down now, and I really do like how this is looking. So now I need to think about embellishing. Now a lot of the things in the colour study collection are quite large, so I need to be careful what I use to embellish. I don't want to go too mad and cover anything up really. So I planned to use a couple of those butterflies, so I've got those in place, and I'm just now going through each of the packs of stickers and ephemera and things just to see what I can use, and deciding on my title. I love those puffy title stickers there. I really want to use them and I've not yet found the opportunity, and yet again they're not going to get used today. Instead I'm going to use one of the stickers and it says be colourful. So I stuck that onto white card and I'm just trimming around it, and I'm that's just so I can kind of move it around and position it, but I'm also trimming slightly closer to each of the letters so that the white border around the edge isn't quite so wide. My title's going to sit there across the blue hexagons, and then I'm just getting my butterflies stuck down. I use glossy accents and I just apply that to the bodies of butterflies, and I leave the wings kind of flapping because I think that makes them look so realistic. It's almost like they've just landed on my layout, and I always do that with butterflies. It's like the only thing I ever do. I never stick them down flat. So I just love the way it looks. And then with my title, because obviously the photo and the hexagons have some dimension to them, certain parts of the title I've had to add foam pads underneath, kind of like the bottom of the F that you can see there and the middle of the O, where they're going to sit on the actual white cardstock. They needed raising up, but the rest of it I've just added a little bit of glossy accents and stuck it down flat. So it just means my title is all kind of one height off the page. Then I'm just going through again just to see what else I can use to embellish. I want to bring some more black into the layout. My photo has been matted on white cardstock and then a second time on black, again just to help it pop off the page and bring in some more of the black. So I go through the sticker book and I've got these word stickers here that I'm just going through and selecting some to use. So I select 5 of them because the blue hexagon's already got the title on it obviously. So they say awesome, happiness, loving this day, time spent with you, and fabulous. I'm just going to stick those to the centre piece of each hexagon, kind of offset slightly just to add a bit more interest to the page. I didn't want them centred. And then I'm adding some foam pads underneath again just to make sure they're all level, seeing as the hexagons have been raised up. I'm really loving how this is looking so far. I'm going to add a frame to the background of my layout now. So I've got this gorgeous pattern paper that I have been staring at and not wanting to use because it's just so pretty. But I decided to be brave and cut into it. So I've gutted the middle so I can use that on another project. and I'm just going to get this white cardstock stuck down to that frame. I've tried to kind of line it up with my layout so that the colours are in the right area, if that makes sense. So you'll notice once it's stuck down that kind of the green hexagon falls on the green section of the paper and the yellow on the yellow. But just because of the way the paper was and the way I'd stuck my hexagons down, it wasn't possible to do that with all of the colours. But I've done it with a few of them, and I think that makes a big difference. I think it would have looked a bit wrong if I hadn't have tried to line those up. So I've got that stuck down, and I'm just going around the edge, distressing that edge a bit more. And I still feel the need to bring in a bit more black, just to add a bit of drama to my page. So I've got a black acrylic paint here. I'm just going to water it down on some packaging and add loads of splatters to my background, obviously covering my photo so I don't get it on my little boy's face. But I'm just going to add loads and loads of splatters, some bigger than others, just all the way around. And I'm not fussed if it lands on my title or my butterflies. I don't want it to be that perfect. But I just love the drama that some black splatters give a layout. And I'm almost done here. Just one final thing, I've decided I like things in threes, so I'm just going to bring in another of those butterflies and stick it down under my title. I just feel like that helps to balance the page a little bit more, and it gives you kind of a triangle around my photo. And that is my layout finished. So thank you very much for joining me today. Please do hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more of my layouts. In the description box below, I will pop the link to the Scrap the Boys blog so you can read about the challenge and see all the other design team members' layouts. I'll also pop a link to the Scrap the Boys Facebook group. If you'd like to join in with our challenge, please do. Share them in the Facebook group. Like I said, details will be below, but for now I'll leave you with the close-ups. Thanks very much.